I'm gonna explain to you guys right now why you do not want this motorcycle in your garage or sitting outside your house or anywhere near you or your daughters. I'm trying to keep them for myself, to be honest with you. I love this bike. This is a 2017 Yamaha FZ-10, and later in life they end up calling this the MT-10, even though in the other countries like Europe and Canada and Australia, they called it they were already calling it the MT-10. Yamaha, what are you doing to us? I don't know why they keep on changing things, but currently this is the FZ-10, and it's awesome. It's amazing. So this is Yamaha's 1000cc Street Fighter motorcycle. And when other companies like Suzuki made their 1000cc Street Fighter, it always has that flavor, of their flagship bike, like the GSXR for Suzuki. But when Suzuki did it, instead of using the same engine and same frame and everything, they actually used the engine out of the 2005 GSXR 1000, which I'm not complaining. That was an awesome motor. It was one of the first 1000s I ever rode, but by the time it came out, it was fairly old. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they had an abundance of motors hanging around from the 2005 GSXR 1000s. I don't really know why they did that, but that's what they did. That's not what Yamaha did. Yamaha actually used the same engine, the same frame, and the same transmission as the R1 in the FZ-10. Look, it's the same. Now hold on a second, Sean. Did you just say that this this naked Street Fighter, has a 4-cylinder cross-plane engine in it? That's exactly what I just said. And if you don't know what the cross-plane engine is, let me explain it to you right now.
So a cross-plane crankshaft, if you look down the center line of the crankshaft and you have your main journals in the center, you're going to have rod journals that are outside of parallel, versus a flat plane. If you look down the center line and you have your main journals, you're going to have rod journals all in a line. Now what that's going to do in a cross-plane engine, it's going to change the sound. It's going to give you more of a V sounding engine. It's going to give you better low end torque and a less buzzy feel. Where the flat plane is for your higher revving engines, comes in a lighter package and a smaller engine package, making it fit into a sport bike a whole lot nicer. So what does that mean for you on the racetrack? The cross-plane crankshaft is going to give you more low end torque, allowing you to come out of a corner faster, putting more power to the ground.
Now, of course, they changed the final drive gearing. I think they added 2 gears on the back because they wanted to make it more street, where the R1 is track oriented. This is more street oriented, which is awesome because it's going to give you more low end, more mid range, and still have tons of punch on the top end range. It also has one of the greatest features that you never ever see, maybe one exception, on a naked Street Fighter bike, which I'm going to show you guys during the test drive. Another interesting thing about this bike is it has a 12-liter intake box, which is 2 more liters than the R1. The reason they did that is because the R1, with its fairing and all this stuff going on, it's able to have a better ram air effect. But for this one, they didn't compensate by making the air intake box bigger to accomplish the same thing. Now the FZ-10 is pushing at 160 horsepower, which is pretty nuts, and tips the scale of just 30 pounds heavier than the Yamaha R1 at just 468 pounds wet, which means, with the fuel and oil and stuff in it. And I'm sure you're wondering, but if it's less body, less fairing, stuff like that, why is it heavier than the Yamaha R1? And the reason is pretty simple. One, the body panels don't weigh that much, but because this is a cheaper price point and a little bit cheaper to make, they put a little bit cheaper components on the bike, such as the subframe right here, that weigh a little bit more than what you're going to see on the Yamaha R1, which its only focus is to be as light as it possibly can be. It also has a fully adjustable front and rear suspension, which is, pretty amazing. Now let's talk about styling. I think this bike looks awesome. I think Yamaha's done a great job at making the FZ line have that awesome, metal, alien, ninja, bug from outer space type of vibe, which honestly, I dig it. I think it's super cool. I mean, just look at these eyes. I mean, headlights, awesome. This thing's basically a transformer. Maybe it is, that you get to ride every single day, but you're not gonna ride because I'm telling you not to buy it, because I'm trying to keep it for myself. I mean, just check out these ridiculous, obnoxious neon wheels, which fit the bike and my own personality extremely well. Look at the bikes that Yamaha was pumping out, 30 years ago. Motorcycle styling has really changed, but you can still see that same thread along the whole timeline. And then to wrap everything up, you have this awesome little motorcycle thing to stop the rider from falling off. Is right? That's what it's for? This is gonna stop you from falling off. This is the only safety you actually need when you're riding this motorcycle. It's kind of silly, isn't it? All right, I can't wait any longer. I know you can't wait any longer. Let's take this thing for a spin. All right, guys, before we do this wet test drive, let me show you this awesome Bible-verse. And hopefully, not because I'm showing you this Bible-verse, but hopefully God will keep me safe. So, traction control 2, I'm on mode B. So the weird way they set this thing up, and it doesn't make any sense, is where the power controls, which is normally STD, which we all know what that means, standard, A mode and B mode, it's kind of counterintuitive. So standard is what it comes on just normally. It's the most cushy throttle response. Least responsive. And then you have A mode, and that is the next more responsive. And then you've got B mode, and that's the most responsive. So like if you were like track daying this or something like that, or you were trying to go all in, you would go on B mode, which, why does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. You would think that A mode is that. And it's kind of strange, but that's how they did it, and who knows why. Let's see if we can change those settings. There we go. Mode. I don't know exactly how to. Okay, I'm in standard mode now. So standard is the mode, that's the mode I'm going to want to be in when it comes to I'm riding in the rain, which I'm currently doing right now. What's interesting about this, and this is pretty cool. I remember a decade ago, maybe around a decade ago, when Suzuki first started coming to these power modes, and people were like, oh, okay, on the Hayabusa, or the 1000, what that is A mode's the 1000, B mode's like a 750, C mode's like a 600. But that really wasn't what was going on. But I don't know, but that was what people said. What's interesting about this is just throttle response. 100% just throttle response. So at full throttle, you still have all your power. It's not like reducing your actual horsepower. If you put this thing on the dynamometer, and you were testing horsepower, it doesn't matter if you were in standard, A or B mode, you're still gonna have that full, whatever it is, 158 horsepower. It's a fun bike. Now, it's kind of a bummer. I can't really get on it that much, because there's tractors in front of me, and it's raining outside. But we're gonna do the best we can. And you know what? When you're riding in the rain, it's actually a fairly surprising thing that you've got more traction than probably what most people think they do. Although road lines are fairly slick. But you definitely have more traction than what you think you do. I could probably get the front end up, pop a little wheelie, see how that goes. Yes. It's got enough traction to pull the front end up. This is a fun motorcycle. Loving this. I love the smoothness of the cross-plane engine. I remember when they first came out in the R1s, I think in 2009, and it was a big deal. I rode one shortly after, loved it, loved everything about it. That is so awesome. I'm in standard mode. This proves my point that I'm saying. I'm in standard mode, even at the top end, and I was rolling onto the throttle. I don't think I was even full throttle when at the top end of third gear, the front end starts coming up. That's awesome. This is a really, really fun bike. I love the FZ-07. I love the FZ-09. I like the FZ-08. But my favorite was always the FZ-07. Just because I felt that really fit, that like you can have so much fun under 60, 70 miles an hour, you know what I mean? You got tons of fun under those speeds. Like third gear, you're going 30 miles an hour, you can clutch up a front wheelie. a front wheel. You can clutch up a wheel and just ride it for days. I really love that. But this is kind of, I like this. This is fun. Now I'm not going to be able to do a good 0 to 60. I'm going to do a real bad 0 to 60. This thing claims a 0 to 60 number of 2.9 seconds, which is, you know, pretty good. Let's see if I can put that traction control on. Traction control 3. Who knows what that means? Is that good or bad? I don't know. There. So, yeah, the slowest 0 to 60 anyone's ever done on this motorcycle, guaranteed. But the conditions are pretty crummy. Now it's interesting. This is a bike. If you have a Yamaha R1, and that's your bike, this is the next bike that you have to get. I'm not saying a replacement. This is the bike that you get to sit next to it. Because we all know the R1 is made for the track. This is gonna get you in slightly less trouble on the street, and you get to do more street stuff. Street stuff like, I'm driving down the highway. I'm driving down the highway. I'm enjoying life. This bike is incredibly comfortable on the highway. I mean, and compared to an R1, compared to any super sport, this thing's like a Cadillac. This is basically a Goldwing compared to your super sport motorcycle. So you're gonna be able to put some more miles on it, and it still has ridiculous amounts of power, which is a blast to drive. Guys, I'm sure you've noticed I'm rocking the M1 Moto 507 gloves. These are the gloves that I wear when I'm riding a sport bike. They give me better touch. The inside of the fingers, I've got much better touch, much better feeling. You know, when you're coming, you want to feel everything. You want to clutch up a wheelie. You want to feel that brake, every little piece of brake pressure. You know what I mean? That's why I love these gloves, for that, and for that only. No, I love them for a lot of stuff. Check them out on bikesandbeardsgear.com right now. This wraps up the video. We see you guys later. Remember, it is not what you're riding, but where you're going. And check out this next video right here. Everyone else seemed to love it. I'm sure you will too.